Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Um, and thank you once again for joining me in our kind of quick, like bite-sized set of tips for leaders um, from brought to you by Lead by Design Lab. So anyway, today's topic is one that we get questions around often. And while we are still within our series in support of higher ed executive women, women of color in particular, I got to tell you that this topic is one that I think if you are a leader in any capacity in any industry, you're going to find this to probably resonate. And that is, how do you manage stress as a leader? I'm only smiling because it's almost like people are like, yeah, if you got that answer, you can sell that on its own, bottle it up. And while I don't know if I have the answer that's going to be, something that everyone will be able to just do that one thing and then you're no longer stressed, but I do think I have tips for managing it. Right? It's not to relieve stress because that's not realistic in life. But I do think that the things that I'll offer you in these 15 minutes will hopefully help you to manage stress and find ways to kind of recenter yourself. Particularly when I think of women in the academy and the seasonality of it, there are probably times when you are hyper stressed because of the time of the academic calendar. And so figuring out ways to balance that stress in order to lead effectively is hyper critical for you to be successful in your role. So I'm going to share just a few tips, and then certainly at the end, as always, I'll leave time for questions, and we'll try to answer as many as I can before our 15 minutes are up. So here goes. The first tip on how to manage your stress is, first of all, identify if you have stress and where it's coming from. So checking in with yourself to gain awareness on, like, this tension I keep feeling in my shoulder, or this little crick I have. What's going on here? I've had therapists that tell me, like, just to do a body scan, regularly, just to see, like, where am I holding some tension? Am I holding tension? So checking in with yourself, either physically or even mentally, on how's it going? Do I have a constant headache? Am I drinking my second or third cup of coffee and it's only 10:30? Right? Like, there are some things that you just know for yourself are signs that you are stressed out. And if in fact you are going to say to me, Latoya, no, I really never know until it's too late, then guess what? Ask someone who does know you, right? So part two of checking in with yourself is, if when in doubt of, like, feeling confident about your answer, check in with a colleague who knows you well, a partner, a family member, a friend, but someone who knows you in your calm time when you're chilling out on a beach or you're on a hike, and then they know you when you're at a high stake stress time, because they'll be able to say, oh yeah, you don't see how you done gnawed off all your nails. You're stressed. I didn't know you were stressed. You didn't know. Like, there are things that they will identify in you that you're like, yeah, oops, yeah, I am doing that, right? Because it becomes, sadly, you end up living and holding stress so much that it becomes just a part of your natural behavior, and you stop realizing that is an indication that you're stressed out. So the first tip, y'all, is just to check in with yourself, a body scan, how many coffees have I had? Have I gone for a walk lately, or kept doing my regular exercise regimen? And if those things don't help you, ask a friend, phone a friend, and let them give you some, like, updates on where you are with stress. So that's the first one. Check in with yourself to figure out if you are in fact stressed. The second tip I will give you, you probably have heard me say a couple of times, and that is to prioritize. When you are in the midst of a stressful situation, think of it as start of the academic semester, or end of the semester, when you got to grade all those papers that you thought were a good idea at the beginning of the semester. Now you have to grade them all, and you have all of these department meetings and university level meetings and conference level meetings, and then your own specific area of specialty. Maybe y'all are having some kind of national convening. You got all of this going on, and you're like, oh crap, how am I going to get it done? You probably can't get it all done at once. So my recommendation is that you prioritize. There are many, many, many different books, articles, blogs, etc., on how to prioritize your work or time manage or things in that nature. The one tip that I've found super helpful within those different resources is this idea of putting down the start of your day, the top 3 or 5 things you intend to get done that day. It is like you have to get done that day. And then you might have other ancillary things that you also would like to get done, but those top 3 or 5, you can't leave your seat or whatever. You can't put your head to the pillow until you get those 5 things done. When I first was suggested this, I was told to start with 3, and that was super helpful. And it really did make me prioritize. Like, yeah, I do have 12 things on my to-do list, but these 3 things I have to get done. That really, really helped me. And I want to show y'all, like, I really do live what I'm saying. Like, this literally sits on my, can you see it? On my computer screen. So it says top 5, today's top 5, and it's an arrow. And underneath that is where I house Post-its, 5 Post-its of things that I have to get done before I leave my office. So that helps me to prioritize. And I like that they're Post-its because then I can move them around, right? I'm like, oh gosh, this is number 1. Well, this new thing just became number 1. So I'm able to literally move things around on this little board I have next to my desk, next to my computer screen, to prioritize. Guess what, y'all? If everything is important, nothing's important. So you have to prioritize the things that really have to get done, that can only get done by you. That's what you prioritize. And it really does help to kind of like manage your stress. Like, oh, okay, I can manage those 3 things today. And when you're done, you feel accomplished and you can start your next day. So the second tip is to prioritize. Find whatever method you want, but my fail proof that I still use many, many years later is this top 3 or top 5 things to get done before I leave the day. Okay, the third thing is kind of a cousin to that second thing. The prioritize now, then ask for help. Because guess what's going to happen? There are going to be a bunch of things that you kind of is on the cutting room floor or is on the do later section, but you're like, gosh, I really can't get all of that done. Ask for help. As women of color in particular, we are notorious for thinking we can do all the things. We are just going to get it all done. Sometimes maybe best kept secret, we might actually enjoy kind of the martyrdom of, I'm every woman and I'm so tired, I'm so stressed or whatever, but that's not healthy. So let's just let that whole construct go and ask for help. That help can come from your assistant. That help can come from colleagues in your department who you're trying to grow and develop. So giving them a piece of work that you can like carve out and let them do would be a great opportunity for them to try on something and for you to coach them in helping them to develop to be ready for a next level role. It could be something you delegate outside of work, maybe some personal tasks. And I think I have a blog on that, like things to delegate as like a working mom or something like that. And I'm talking about all the things from, if you can, cleaning or, delegating, even having someone to cook for you if you can do that or whatever. But my point is, stop trying to act like you could do everything. You can't. And let us raise up and actually like clap when people ask for help and not be like, oh, you couldn't do all of that? No, and neither can you. Not in a way that is stress-free. Right? The goal is to be stress-free or to reduce your stress. So ask for help, y'all. It will really be a game changer in not only your stress, but I'm telling you, particularly if you have a team, it will help your team grow and it'll also model behavior to them that they can ask for help. So this is something that almost is like an infectious thing that will help you and your team. And the final thing before we take any questions is take time for yourself. And I know by now you're just ready to click off of here. Like, now I told you I'm stressed. I don't have time to, take time for myself. And I'm going to push back and say, yes, you do. Yes, you can put 5 minutes on your calendar that you block. And in those 5 minutes, listen to your favorite radio station on Apple Music or do a sound bath playlist I've done that at times when I've been really stressed. I'll start the morning with a sound bath playlist. And it like, well, it's almost like a meditative experience if you haven't done it. And it'll walk you through things to think of or postures to have. And it's like 3 minutes. Please don't tell me that in 24 hours, you can't take 3 minutes for yourself. I don't believe you. You can. So take time for yourself, as small as 3 to 5 minutes, as long as a weekend or a day off. I have a new thing I'm doing. I think I posted about it about Mondays. And yes, that is my jam. I don't start my meetings now until Mondays at noon. It has been a game changer. Allows me to slow roll into the week. But my other new thing I got from someone, the last Friday of every month, I take off. Yes. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. Yes, I can. And yes, you can. It might not be that, prescriptive. It might not be that formulaic, but y'all, in a 12 months, cycle, you can probably afford to take 4 days off that you don't have plans to do anything, that you're not trying to go take it off to go to a conference or do something for your kids or da-da-da-da-da. No, that you're just going to sit at home and watch Bridgerton or listen to an old school hip hop channel and dance until you fall out on the couch. But those types of things, the endorphins that come from that will bless you beyond that moment. And so I highly recommend that you find ways, like sneakily, these 3 to 5 minute bites, or in a massive way, the last Friday of the month or one Friday a quarter. Figure it out however is kind of a way for you to dip your toe into it, but certainly find a way to take time for yourself. Now, this all is brought to you because next week is Stress Awareness Week. And so if you are someone who is in, the academy, this is something that you really should be modeling next week and beyond. You should be talking about it in your staff meetings, sending an email, and maybe share one of my tips with them. One maybe that you even plan to try, right? Because we really want to promote folks being aware of their stress and also doing their best to manage stress, especially people of color, women of color who have extremely high rates of high blood pressure and heart attacks, because we are trying to do all the things, y'all. So please find ways to manage your stress in any way you can. Okay, we have a couple of minutes for questions, and I see a few coming in. If I don't get to your question, please feel free to drop a comment and we'll get to it later, or send me a direct message and I'll be sure to answer it. But the first question is, what are some of my favorite routines for in the morning for decreasing stress? Yes. Okay. These are good ones. Oh, these are some of my favorites, right? So one, I love listening to, I'm a sports junkie. And so I love turning on ESPN for like 30 minutes before all that comes around me with my kids and everything, and just sit in the bed and watch the commentators talk about what happened the day or the night before or whatever's going on in sports. And I'm talking back. I'm like, yeah, like it's just something that is such a, like, I don't have to be like cerebral about it. I can just be a woman who loves sports and be into it. It's a stress-free thing. It helps me to release stress and just be Latoya who loves sports. So that's one. I'm also really, really big on going for walks. So sometimes early in the morning, I'll try to, and this is certainly not on the weekend, not on the weekdays, I'll go for a walk to a local coffee shop, and I will order my coffee and just sit in there and drink my coffee and then walk home. And it's just a nice way for me to clear space. I don't bring anything. I don't bring work to do, whatever. I just have my phone and I will just sit there and just take in the environment, the community, a really good cup of coffee, and then I walk back home. So those are a couple of tips. I'm big on podcasts. I told y'all already, I'm big on sound baths. I also just found the golden age of hip hop channel on Apple Music. That in the morning, I will like jam out in here before I get started. And it's just like, hey. So that also is another fave of mine. And then I think I have time for one more question. I feel like I need to delegate, but I don't have time to effectively teach or coach someone how to do it. That is such a great question. So I'm going to go all the way to the end of this minute. First of all, find a small nugget of the task to give them, and then just let them do it. Let them do it without feeling, unless it's something that you think they don't know how to do at all, let them do it and go through the motion and try and fail. And then you can coach around the edges versus trying to teach the whole thing. I think the assumption we make when we delegate is like, I got to teach them how to do the whole thing. They don't know how to do it. And that's often a fallacy. Let them, if I'm like, hey, can you go and design, da 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 da. Here's how I want to design. I want this. This is how you do a design in Canva, da da da. No, give them full like empowerment to go and Google how to use Canva, go and do it. And then you come back and go, oh my gosh, so awesome. Here's a couple of tweaks I want you to make. That'll take you half the time, maybe even a quarter of the time, than if you wanted to find time on your calendar to teach them how to do each step. I think we need to trust our teams more and empower them to try and fail, and that it may not look the way we would have done it, but it's still good. It might even be great. Quietly, it might even be better than how you would have done it. And let them do it versus thinking we got to be like over them and teaching them and all of that. I think we think not too highly of ourselves, but I think we don't trust our teams enough. So I recommend that you throw in a ball in their court, letting them figure it out, and then you coach around the edges. All right, y'all, we went over by 1 minute, but thank you for sticking with me. If you have other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or send me a DM. And there's also a link in the comments for you to get in touch. Thank you again for joining our little quick chat, our lunchtime minutes. And I wish y'all all the best this week and have a great stress awareness week next week. Bye, y'all.